Welcome to our global journey through some of the most groundbreaking railway projects of our time. Today, we're exploring China's stunning $50 billion Himalayan Railway, Japan's cutting-edge magnetic train, Europe's $26 billion Alpine tunnel, China's strategic $8 billion Silk Road Railway, and the intriguing challenges of Tanzania's mega railway. Let's dive into the engineering marvels shaping our future.
Traversing altitudes of over 5,000 meters, and with over 80% of the railway consisting of tunnels and bridges, you can see why this project is likely to exceed a budget of over $50 billion. Imagine building a train line that stretches from New York City to Miami, but instead of crossing flat terrain, it carves through some of the harshest and most unpredictable environments on Earth. Why is this railway so significant? Why would China invest so heavily in such a challenging project? And how do they plan to overcome the brutal realities of the Himalayas' rugged landscape? These are the questions we're exploring today. From its monumental scale and groundbreaking technology to the extreme challenges of high-altitude construction, we're uncovering everything about this railway that promises to transform the region. There's so much to unpack, so let's dive in and see how this project compares to anything the world has ever seen. To understand the significance of the Sichuan-Tibet Railway, we need to first delve into some historical context. Tibet has always been one of the most remote and inaccessible regions in the world. Surrounded by towering peaks and rugged plateaus, it's often called the roof of the world. For centuries, travel to Tibet was limited to dangerous mountain paths and long caravan routes. Even in modern times, reaching Tibet has remained a logistical challenge. Before the construction of the Qinghai-Tibet Railway in 2006, travel to Lhasa, Tibet's capital, was a 2-day ordeal by bus or a costly flight. The Qinghai-Tibet Railway was revolutionary in connecting the region to mainland China. Stretching 1,956 kilometers, it traverses permafrost, deserts, and high-altitude plateaus. However, while it opened up northern Tibet, the region's southeastern parts and neighboring Sichuan province remained disconnected from China's economic centers. Sichuan, with its bustling capital Chengdu, is one of China's largest provinces and serves as an industrial and cultural hub. The need to link these two regions was both strategic and economic. The idea for the Sichuan-Tibet Railway was proposed in the early 2010s as part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. This massive infrastructure development plan aims to improve global trade routes and connect Asia, Europe, and Africa. The railway was seen as a critical step in integrating Tibet into China's national framework while leveraging the region's untapped natural resources. Tibet is rich in copper, lithium, and rare earth materials, essential components for green technologies like electric vehicle batteries and wind turbines. The Sichuan-Tibet Railway starts in Chengdu, the vibrant capital of Sichuan Province, known for its spicy cuisine and pandas. From Chengdu, the railway heads west to Ya'an, a relatively easy stretch that was completed in 2018. Beyond Ya'an, the route becomes significantly more challenging, as it snakes through the Hangduan Mountains, crosses the Yalangzangpo River Valley, and ascends the Tibetan Plateau. This middle segment, which includes 72 tunnels and 121 bridges, is still under construction and expected to be completed by 2030. The engineering challenges are mind-boggling. The railway has to contend with an elevation change of more than 3,000 meters. The starting point in Chengdu sits at just 300 meters above sea level, while Lhasa sits around 3,600 meters. In some sections, the tracks climb higher than 4,000 meters, where the air is thin and oxygen levels are 40% lower than at sea level. To keep trains running safely and comfortably, engineers have equipped them with oxygen diffusion systems and pressurized cabins, similar to those in airplanes. Over 80% of the railway's route is composed of tunnels and bridges. The Yangbajing Tunnel, for example, stretches an incredible 42.5 kilometers, making it longer than the Channel Tunnel between England and France. In total, the railway includes 851 kilometers of tunnels and 121 bridges, some of which span massive river gorges and active fault lines. These structures aren't just feats of engineering, they're designed to withstand earthquakes, landslides, and extreme weather. The Himalayas are one of the most seismically active regions in the world, so engineers have used shock-absorbing foundations and flexible materials to mitigate the impact of tremors. Another challenge is permafrost. Building a stable railway on ground that is frozen solid for most of the year but turns into a muddy mess during summer is no easy task. Engineers have employed cooling pipes and insulated foundations to keep the permafrost stable, preventing the tracks from shifting or sinking. These solutions are similar to those used on the Shanghai-Tibet Railway, but have been adapted for the unique conditions of the Sichuan-Tibet route. Transporting construction materials to remote locations for the Sichuan-Tibet Railway represents one of the most daunting logistical challenges of the project. The terrain across the Himalayan Railway is exceptionally rugged, with many construction sites located at altitudes exceeding 4,000 meters. Some areas are so isolated that materials and equipment have to be transported by helicopters, while smaller components are carried on foot by workers navigating steep trails. This adds both time and cost to the construction effort, but such measures are necessary for a project of this scale. For example, the Milan Tunnel, one of the project's standout engineering feats, stretches 10 kilometers and lies 1,200 meters beneath a mountain range at an altitude of 3,100 meters. Excavating this tunnel required the use of custom-designed tunnel boring machines, TBMs. These TBMs are some of the largest and most advanced in the world, engineered specifically for the unique challenges of this project. They're equipped to cut through layers of hard rock and permafrost while maintaining stability under immense geological pressure. The construction teams use advanced seismic monitoring systems to ensure safety as the region frequently experiences tremors. The Sichuan-Tibet Railway's economic and strategic implications are monumental. Once completed, the railway will reduce travel time between Chengdu and Lhasa from 48 hours to just 13 hours. This reduction isn't just about convenience, it has the potential to revolutionize trade and mobility in the region. By facilitating faster and cheaper transportation of goods, the railway will significantly lower logistics costs for businesses. This could lead to increased trade volumes between Tibet and central China, fostering economic growth in one of the country's poorest regions. Improved accessibility also means unlocking Tibet's immense mineral wealth. The region is rich in natural resources including copper, lithium, and rare earth materials. These materials are critical for industries ranging from renewable energy to electronics. With better transportation infrastructure, mining operations in Tibet could become more economically viable, positioning the region as a key player in global supply chains. Tourism is another sector poised to benefit. Tibet's breathtaking landscapes, unique culture, and iconic landmarks like the Potala Palace and Mount Everest Base Camp attract millions of visitors every year. The Sichuan-Tibet Railway is expected to increase annual tourist numbers dramatically, injecting billions of dollars into the local economy. This surge in tourism will likely create jobs in hospitality, retail, and transportation, providing new opportunities for local residents. However, such growth brings its own challenges, especially in managing the environmental impact of increased human activity. Tibet's ecosystem is one of the most fragile on Earth, home to endangered species like the snow leopard, Tibetan antelope, and black-necked crane. The construction of the railway, particularly its tunnels, bridges, and stations, has disrupted wildlife habitats and migration patterns. While engineers have incorporated eco-friendly features such as wildlife corridors and noise reduction barriers, critics argue that these measures may not be enough to mitigate long-term damage. The influx of tourists also raises concerns about waste management and pollution, as Tibet lacks the infrastructure to handle large-scale tourism sustainably. The human cost of construction is another significant factor. Thousands of workers endure extreme conditions, including freezing temperatures, thin air, and prolonged isolation from their families. To combat these challenges, construction camps are equipped with on-site medical facilities, oxygen tanks, and acclimatization protocols. Specialized diets and rest schedules help workers cope with the physical and mental toll of working at such high altitudes. When comparing the Sichuan-Tibet Railway with other monumental railways, its uniqueness becomes even more apparent. The Qinghai-Tibet Railway, completed in 2006, was the first to link Tibet with China's rail network. Stretching 1,956 kilometers, it traverses permafrost and high-altitude plateaus, reaching elevations of 5,072 meters at its highest point. While it set a new benchmark for high-altitude railways, the Sichuan-Tibet Railway pushes the boundaries even further by navigating more complex terrains and using advanced technologies like autonomous construction vehicles and AI-driven monitoring systems. In Europe, the Swiss Alps are home to impressive rail systems like the Gotthard Base Tunnel, the world's longest railway tunnel at 57 kilometers. The tunnel cuts through the Alps to improve connectivity between northern and southern Europe. The Swiss project faced challenges like hard rock formations and the need to maintain precise alignments over long distances. Similarly, the Sichuan-Tibet Railway has adopted cutting-edge technologies to overcome its unique geological challenges, but it must also contend with extreme altitudes and seismic activity, issues not as prominent in the Swiss Alps. Technological innovation is at the heart of the project. The railway employs autonomous construction vehicles, advanced surveying drones, and real-time monitoring to ensure safety and efficiency. The trains themselves are designed for comfort and reliability at extreme altitudes, featuring panoramic windows, climate-controlled cabins, and advanced braking systems for steep descents. These features not only enhance passenger experience, but also demonstrate the technological prowess required to operate in such challenging conditions. This project is more than just a railway. It's a story of ambition, resilience, and the delicate balance between progress and preservation. What do you think? Is the Sichuan-Tibet Railway a visionary step forward or a gamble with nature and culture? Let us know in the comments below.
What if you could cut your journey time in half, gliding at speeds beyond 500 kilometers per hour while effortlessly floating above the tracks? This isn't science fiction, but Japan's Chuo Shinkansen, a maglev train project set to revolutionize travel between Tokyo and Nagoya. With an estimated cost exceeding $82 billion, it's one of the most expensive infrastructure ventures in history. Unlike conventional trains, this futuristic system uses magnetic levitation for a smoother, faster ride, drastically reducing travel times and cutting carbon emissions. However, despite its promise, construction delays, budget overruns, and environmental challenges have cast doubt. Can Japan's bold vision deliver on its ambitious promises, or will it falter under mounting obstacles? Beneath Japan's dynamic urban landscape lies an urgent problem: congestion and travel inefficiency. Major travel routes are increasingly gridlocked, leading to frustrating delays for commuters and significant economic losses. As populations grow and economic demands rise, the existing transportation systems struggle to keep pace. The renowned Shinkansen network, once the pride of Japan, is now grappling with overcapacity, failing to accommodate the rising number of passengers. The need for a revolutionary transportation solution has never been more critical. In the early 1970s, Japan began its exploration of magnetic levitation (maglev) technology, envisioning a faster, more efficient rail system. This ambitious endeavor culminated in the construction of the Yamanashi test track in 1997, marking a critical milestone in the development of superconducting maglev. After years of rigorous testing and refinement, the construction of the Chuo Shinkansen officially began in 2014. This new line, aims to connect major cities, covering 438 kilometers predominantly through tunnels. The first phase of the project is expected to link Tokyo and Nagoya by 2027, followed by an extension to Osaka targeted for completion by 2037. This maglev system will reduce travel time between Tokyo and Osaka from 2 hours and 30 minutes to just 67 minutes, greatly enhancing business and tourism opportunities. The Chuo Shinkansen stands not only as an engineering marvel, but also as a testament to Japan's competitive spirit in the global race for high-speed rail. Currently, China's Shanghai maglev is the world's only operational high-speed maglev, but Japan's system is set to surpass it in both distance and speed, reaching 505 kilometers per hour. Moreover, Japan's L0 series maglev even achieved a record speed of 603 kilometers per hour in 2015. Economically, the maglev is poised to transform Japan by linking Tokyo, Nagoya, and Osaka into a cohesive metropolitan hub. This integration is expected to attract investments and generate an estimated economic impact of up to 17 trillion yen over the first 50 years of operation. Additionally, the line's efficiency will appeal to tourists, allowing them to explore Japan's iconic cities within a single day. While constructing this advanced network involves substantial costs and extensive tunneling, nearly 90% of the line to Nagoya will be underground. It reflects Japan's ambition to create a faster, safer, and more resilient transportation infrastructure. Designed to withstand earthquakes and provide a seamless travel experience, Japan's maglev project aims to not only transform domestic travel, but also inspire similar innovations worldwide. As it evolves, this groundbreaking train could serve as the blueprint for next-generation rail systems globally. But what innovative technologies and engineering feats are being employed to make this ambitious vision a reality? At the heart of the Chuo Shinkansen is its innovative use of superconducting magnetic levitation (SC maglev) technology. Unlike traditional high-speed trains, which run on rails with wheels, the maglev train floats above the track using powerful magnets. These magnets generate lift and forward propulsion, eliminating the friction that usually slows down rail vehicles. The SC maglev trains hover approximately 10 centimeters above the track, allowing them to reach unprecedented speeds while maintaining energy efficiency. The principle of magnetic levitation involves a set of powerful magnets on both the train and the tracks. These magnets work in opposition to one another, creating lift that pushes the train off the ground. A second set of magnets on the track generates a forward thrust, pulling the train along. One of the key features of the Chuo Shinkansen's design is the figure-8 configuration of the coils along the track. This arrangement helps stabilize the train, keeping it centered and balanced even at high speeds. Stability is particularly important in Japan, a country prone to earthquakes, making the system's safety features a top priority. Building this maglev line requires an immense amount of engineering expertise. Much of the track will be underground, with nearly 90% of the Tokyo to Nagoya route running through tunnels. The largest of these tunnels will cut through the southern Alps, reaching depths of up to 1,400 meters. This 25-kilometer-long tunnel alone is one of the most complex and challenging segments of the project. Drilling through Japan's mountainous terrain requires precision and careful management of geological factors like groundwater and seismic activity. The use of specialized boring machines ensures that the excavation is both efficient and safe, reducing the risks of collapse or other accidents. Building stations for the maglev system adds another layer of complexity. One of the key terminals, Shinagawa Station in Tokyo, will feature 4 tracks and 2 platforms, all underground. Constructing a new station underneath a city that already has one of the busiest train hubs in the world presents a delicate challenge. Engineers must carefully plan every stage of the process to avoid disrupting the existing Shinkansen and subway lines that run just above the planned maglev platforms. This involves drilling, reinforcing, and ensuring that the structural integrity of the surrounding infrastructure remains intact. The tracks for the Chuo Shinkansen are designed to optimize speed while maintaining safety. For instance, the minimum curve radius is set at 8,000 meters to allow the train to maintain high speeds even on turns. Additionally, the gradient can reach up to 4 degrees, helping the train to climb steep slopes found in Japan's mountainous regions without losing momentum. The propulsion and levitation systems built into the tracks are powered by a series of electromagnetic coils. These alternating electromagnets interact with superconducting magnets on the train, creating a thrust that propels the train forward through linear induction. Essentially, the entire track becomes a motor that drives the train, a process that is highly efficient but requires precision engineering. Maintaining the superconducting magnets is a challenge in itself. To achieve the required magnetic levitation, the magnets must be cooled to extremely low temperatures. Liquid helium cools the superconducting coils to negative 269 degrees centigrade, maintaining their superconducting state. A specialized cooling system known as a pulse tube refrigerator is integrated into the train to manage temperature fluctuations efficiently. This technology is adapted from aerospace applications, underscoring the advanced nature of the project's design. Energy consumption is another crucial factor. Although the Chuo Shinkansen is expected to use 30% more energy than the current Shinkansen network, it is still more energy efficient than other modes of transport over similar distances, such as short-haul flights. The maglev system generates some of its energy through regenerative braking, which converts kinetic energy back into electrical power when the train slows down. This system reduces the train's overall energy consumption and makes it more sustainable. One of the most pressing technical challenges is managing the electromagnetic fields generated by the maglev system. The powerful magnetic forces that lift and propel the train create electromagnetic fields that could potentially interfere with passengers' electronic devices, or worse, pose health risks. To address this, engineers developed shielding made of electric steel to protect the passenger cabins. This shielding redirects the magnetic fields away from the train's interior, ensuring the safety and comfort of travelers. Despite its innovative technology and ambitious goals, the Chuo Shinkansen project has faced numerous obstacles. Delays have become a significant issue, particularly due to environmental concerns in Shizuoka. The prefecture's opposition to the project has already pushed back the planned opening of the Tokyo-Nagoya route from 2027 to 2034. Negotiations are ongoing, but the project's future depends largely on resolving these local issues. JR Central has committed to continuing its efforts to find a compromise, but there's no guarantee that construction will proceed smoothly.
新幹線は今東海道新幹線が走っているこの自体は大変災害が予想されるところなので、そういう災害に強くするためにバイパスを作るというのが第一の目的ではあるんですが。
Safety is another major concern. A tragic incident in October 2021 highlighted the risks involved in such a complex project. 2 workers lost their lives when a temporary retaining wall in one of the tunnels collapsed. This disaster prompted the organization to intensify safety protocols, ensuring that all construction sites undergo thorough checks and that workers are protected from potential hazards. With so much riding on the successful completion of the Chuo Shinkansen, they cannot afford to compromise on safety. One of the significant challenges in tunneling through such terrain is managing the environmental impact. Digging deep tunnels disrupts natural water flow, and there are concerns about how this could affect local ecosystems. Shizuoka Prefecture, through which the tunnel will pass, has been particularly vocal in its opposition. The Oi River, which provides much of the region's water supply, could experience a drop in levels due to the diversion of groundwater during construction. After years of debate, the company behind the Chuo Shinkansen proposed mitigation efforts such as controlling dam releases and providing compensation for potential losses, though these measures have not fully eased local concerns. Cost is also a factor that looms large over the Chuo Shinkansen. The total project budget is estimated to exceed $82 billion, making it one of the most expensive infrastructure developments in Japanese history. Financing the project involves a combination of private investment and government loans, with expectations to recoup some of the costs through future passenger fares. However, with such a hefty price tag, there are concerns about whether the line will be profitable in the long term, especially if delays continue to push back the opening date. Ticket prices are expected to be only slightly higher than those of the current Tokaido Shinkansen, meaning that the margin for profit is slim. The Chuo Shinkansen is a bold venture that showcases the potential of superconducting maglev technology to revolutionize high-speed travel. Its groundbreaking design, from the electromagnetic propulsion system to the deep tunnels under Japan's southern Alps, represents a leap forward in transportation engineering. However, the project's many challenges, including environmental concerns, safety risks, and financial hurdles, pose significant obstacles that must be overcome. Whether the Chuo Shinkansen can meet its ambitious goals will depend on how well these challenges are managed in the coming years. The world is watching, and the future of high-speed rail may well be determined by the success or failure of this remarkable project.
What do ancient paths, bustling trade routes, and a cutting-edge railway tunnel have in common? They're all part of humanity's quest to conquer the Alps. So if you step into a time machine and witness travelers' struggles across these mountains over millennia, from weeks-long journeys to a mere 2-hour trip, it's easy to see how far humanity has come. The $26 billion Mont Dambian base project is the latest chapter in this epic saga. From Alpine crossings and rugged trails to what is now the world's longest 57.5-kilometer underground marvel, you'll discover how each era's innovations shaped our travel, trade, and society. But what if I told you the reason this tunnel is breaking records has nothing to do with engineering ambition, and the unexpected cause behind it will leave you speechless? From the time of Hannibal to the age of modern highways, the Alps have presented a daunting challenge to travelers, subjecting them to the biting cold, treacherous ice, and howling winds. The Romans, master road builders, established the first reliable routes through these mountains and remain engineering marvels until this day. One of the Romans' greatest achievements was the Via Domitia road that linked Italy to Gaul and became a vital trade artery for military personnel and traders, with the road continuing to influence modern Alpine construction. Then came the great military genius, Napoleon, recognizing the strategic importance of Alpine passes, invested heavily in road improvements, and between 1802 and 1810, Napoleon's army followed Roman ingenuity with the construction of 2 mountain passes. First, the Great St. Bernard Pass, which has been used since Roman times, with Napoleon ordering significant improvements, making it easier to travel for his military campaigns, especially during his famous crossing in 1800 before the Battle of Marengo. Second was the construction of the Mont Cenis Pass over Mont Cenis, turning what was once a rough mountain path into a fully engineered route capable of handling heavy military and trade traffic. But the real game changer came in the late 19th century with tunneling technology. The Frejus Rail Tunnel, opened in 1871, pioneered a new era of Alpine crossings and is still in use today, which is a testament to those 19th century engineers' ingenuity. There's a catch though. While the Frejus Tunnel was revolutionary, it's beginning to show its age. And although some modern trains can still fit, the tunnel's loading gauge is limited to 3.68 meters in width, 12.07 feet, and 4.28 meters in height, 14.04 feet, significantly restricting which trains can pass through compared to newer tunnels. On top of this, a recent landslide in the Moraine Valley temporarily shut down the route, serving as a stark reminder that even our most impressive engineering feats have limitations. And those limitations are becoming increasingly apparent. Around 3 million heavy vehicles cross the French-Italian Alps each year, with half squeezing through the Italian city of Ventimiglia on narrow mountain roads. This, you can imagine, causes serious headaches. Traffic congestion is just the beginning. These heavy vehicles are taking a toll on the environment, spewing emissions into pristine alpine air. Add in noise pollution and strain on local communities, and it's clear our current system of alpine crossings is under pressure. How is this monumental problem being addressed? A long, low-elevation, 57.5-kilometer tunnel passage cutting straight through the mountains. The tunnel is flatter, faster, and more efficient than its high-altitude counterparts, and will carry loads up to 1,500 tons, more than double the current maximum of 700 tons. This massive boost in freight capacity may not involve war elephants, but its impact on alpine crossings could be just as transformative. We start our journey here in the Maurienne Valley, France, where twin tubes, each with an internal diameter of 8.4 meters, wide enough to fit a Boeing 747 airplane, will stretch an incredible 57.5 kilometers until it reaches the Susa Valley in Italy. These dimensions are designed to accommodate high-speed passenger trains zipping along at speeds of up to 220 kilometers per hour, while freight trains will cruise at a respectable 100 kilometers per hour. But how on earth do you dig a tunnel this long through some of the harshest terrain on the planet? Well, you bring in the cavalry. Yep, that's right. 7 tunnel boring machines will be used to carve through the high-pressure rock formations. And who do you think the Italians and French are sourcing these colossal tunnel boring machines from? The Germans, of course. Located in Schwanau, Germany, the company Herrenknecht was founded in 1977 by Martin Herrenknecht. And over the decades, this company has become a world leader in manufacturing tunneling technology, specializing in hard rock formations, micro-tunneling, underwater projects, mixed shield tunneling, and more. Their tunnel boring machines have powered some of the most ambitious tunneling projects in the world. From the Gotthard Base Tunnel in Switzerland, completed in 2016 and stretching 57.1 kilometers, to the Channel Tunnel, which opened in 1994 and spans 50.45 kilometers beneath the English Channel. Then there's the Brenner Base Tunnel, another Alpine mega-project located between Austria and Italy, and will be scheduled for completion in 2032, with the main tunnel section spanning 55 kilometers. These engineering marvels wouldn't be possible without Herrenknecht's cutting-edge technology, shaping the future of underground transportation. Herrenknecht produced a 10.4-meter diameter gripper, TBM, weighing 3,200 tons and measuring 334 meters in length. This machine is responsible for excavating an 18-kilometer section of one of the twin tunnels, starting near Modane, France, and extending all the way to the Clarea underground safety site in Italy. However, even the most advanced tunnel boring machines need a well-organized team behind them. That responsibility falls on Elliott Consortium and TELT, the key players driving the project forward. And managing a project of this scale takes more than just powerful machinery. It requires expert oversight and precise execution.
La Torino-Lione va inquadrata in chiave europea, collegamenti rapidi per un continente più unito.
TELT, the Tunnel Euralpin Lion-Turin organization, is the binational authority overseeing the entire cross-border section and are responsible for project coordination, ensuring everything stays on schedule and meets international safety and environmental standards. They handle the big picture planning, funding, and collaboration between France and Italy. But when it comes to the actual tunnel excavation, that's the job of the Elliott Consortium, a powerhouse team of engineering firms, including Eiffage Génie Civil, Spibatniol, Gela, and Kojei. Their role? Operating the massive tunnel boring machines, managing the workforce, and reinforcing the structure as they carve through the Alps. Together, these two organizations are turning this ambitious vision into reality, laying the groundwork for Europe's next great high-speed rail corridor. Of course, there's more to it than meets the eye, because digging a tunnel from 2 different locations and making sure both ends meet perfectly isn't just a fun guessing game. It's sheer skill, planning, and mathematical precision. To pull it off, engineers rely on advanced navigation and surveying technology. It all starts with GPS and geodetic surveying, which creates a highly detailed 3D map of the terrain, ensuring the tunnel follows the right path. Laser guidance systems inside the tunnel continuously measure and adjust the TBM's direction in real time, keeping them on course. But since GPS doesn't work deep underground, gyroscopic alignment systems and inertial navigation systems take over. These tools track the TBM's movement with extreme precision, preventing any deviation. Companies like Heron Connect's VMT, Honeywell Aerospace, and Exhale provide these cutting-edge solutions, while the consortium handles the excavation. In the Gotthard Base Tunnel, the final breakthrough was only 8 centimeters off after drilling from both sides, in almost perfect alignment. That's the level of precision required for the Undermine Base Tunnel to succeed, proving that modern tunneling is as much about accuracy as it is about power. Ventilation is another crucial aspect. At 500 meters underground, fresh air doesn't come easy. The tunnel will include vertical ventilation shafts, drilled using raised boring machines that extend more than half a kilometer deep. Constructing these shafts involves an incredibly precise process. First, a small pilot hole is drilled from the surface of the mountain down to the tunnel level. Once it reaches the desired depth, a reamer head is attached at the tunnel level and pulled upward, gradually enlarging the hole to its full diameter as it ascends toward the surface. This upward reaming process allows the excavated material to fall naturally to the tunnel floor, making removal easier and minimizing surface disruption. The raised boring method is favored for its safety and accuracy, as it reduces the risk of ground instability compared to traditional downward excavation techniques. By constructing these vertical shafts with such precision, engineers ensure a continuous supply of fresh air, which is essential for both operational efficiency and the safety of workers deep underground. It's like building an upside-down skyscraper, all to keep the air flowing for high-speed trains and maintenance crews working beneath the Alps. The payoff for all this innovation and engineering prowess? A non-stop journey from Lyon to Turin will take just 1 hour and 47 minutes, compared to the current 3 hours and 47 minutes. That's 2 hours saved every trip. Multiply that by thousands of passengers and hundreds of freight shipments daily, and you start to see the immense impact. Imagine hauling up to 1,500 tons of goods. That doubles the current capacity through the Undermine Base Tunnel. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a freight revolution poised to transform trade between France and Italy, two of Europe's largest economies. In 2023 alone, France imported $8.25 billion worth of machinery and $6.59 billion worth of vehicles from Italy, making efficient transport routes crucial. Currently, goods like electronics, pharmaceuticals, textiles, agricultural products, and industrial materials move through the Alps using a mix of road and rail transport. Trucks dominate freight movement, with tunnels like Frejus handling up to 80% of commercial road traffic. However, the new tunnel aims to shift much of this freight to rail, reducing road congestion and cutting CO2 emissions by around 1 million tons annually. While passenger travel will also benefit, cutting the journey from Turin to Lyon from nearly 4 hours to under 2, the tunnel's primary focus is freight. By removing over 1 million trucks from Alpine roads each year, this project is set to create a cleaner, faster, and more efficient trade route between France and Italy. Of course, all this comes at a monumental price of $26 billion, which is enough to make anyone's jaw drop. But the audacious France, Italy, and the entire European Union are convinced this massive investment will reshape the economic landscape of an entire continent. First, let's break down where all this money's coming from. The European Union is footing 40% of the bill for the cross-border section, including our star player, the Undermine Base Tunnel. Italy's throwing in 35%, and France is covering the remaining 25%. But with the price tag skyrocketing to $26 billion, it's not just about the numbers. Opposition from environmental groups and local communities has shaped the project in ways that can't be ignored. Not everyone is on board with this project. Environmental groups like CIPRO and Mountain Wilderness have voiced serious concerns about the tunnel's impact on the Alps. The biggest issues? Disrupting fragile ecosystems, disturbing hazardous materials like asbestos and uranium, and altering the region's water systems. And they didn't just complain, they took action. After years of protests, including major demonstrations in the Susa Valley, engineers were forced to rethink their approach And by 2023, the tunnel's design was changed, extending it from 52 kilometers to 57.5 kilometers, allowing for deeper underground roading to minimize surface disruption. Ironic, right? The Mont Dambin Base Tunnel will become the world's longest tunnel, all because of some committed protesters in the Susa Valley. With all the protests and opposition, most recognize the benefits will outweigh the initial costs, and it's very clear why. A cleaner alternative to road and air travel, and less traffic congestion in the Alps as freight shifts from trucks to trains. It's about reshaping how we think about transportation across an entire continent by providing real competition to air travel for both business and pleasure, knitting the continent closer together, one rail line at a time. The Mont Dambin Base Tunnel isn't just another infrastructure project. It's a testament to human ingenuity, reshaping trade and tourism between France and Italy as part of Europe's vision for sustainable transportation. The EU's significant funding commitment shows its transformative potential. But why stop here? As we bore through mountains, what other impossible barriers might we overcome? Could this tunnel be our bridge into tomorrow, paving the way for even more ambitious projects? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Imagine a trade route so fast it cuts an entire 7 to 8 days off shipping times, bypassing thousands of kilometers of Russian-controlled railways. That's exactly what China is building right now. The 486-kilometer China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan Railway, or CKU, is an $8 billion mega-project that's on track to turn the allied Chinese Dragon and Russian Bear into potentially conflicting economies. Russia's influence in Europe is holding up as well as a skyscraper in a hurricane, so China is stepping in to extend its Belt and Road Initiative by eliminating 900 kilometers of existing routes to give it direct access to Europe and no longer having to rely on Moscow. But will Moscow let its trade dominance slip away so easily? Let's find out. China moves more goods than any country on Earth, but getting those products from its factories to European markets has always been a logistical nightmare. The traditional shipping route through the South China Sea, past the Malacca Strait, across the Indian Ocean, and through the Suez Canal is slow, expensive, and vulnerable to disruptions. Just ask anyone who remembers the Ever Given blocking the canal in 2021. On the other hand, land routes through Russia offer a faster alternative, but they come with political risks, high transit costs, and growing tensions with the West. That leaves China with a problem: how to move massive amounts of trade efficiently while reducing dependence on routes it can't fully control. The solution? An $8 billion China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan CKU railway set to begin construction in July 2025 with high-speed freight corridor that will slice through Central Asia, completely bypassing Russia. Transit times will drop by a full week, making Chinese products arrive faster, cheaper, and with fewer geopolitical headaches. Such plans were solidified on June 6, 2024, when an intergovernmental agreement was signed to commence the railway's construction. This event was notably attended via video link by Chinese President Xi Jinping, Kyrgyzstan's President Sadir Japarov, and Uzbekistan's President Shavkat Mirziyoyev, underscoring the project's importance at the highest levels of leadership.
中基乌铁路是中国同中亚互联互通的战略性项目，是三国共建“一带一路”合作的标志性工程。
President Xi highlighted that the signing of the trilateral intergovernmental agreement provides a solid legal foundation for the project's construction, marking its transition from vision to reality. Why is this so important? Because China is no longer willing to let Russia control its trade routes, and Beijing will have an independent overland supply chain that Moscow can't touch. It also boosts China's influence in Central Asia, pulling countries like Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan deeper into its economic orbit. For Vladimir Putin and the Russians, this hurts more than being hit by a wrecking ball at full swing. So what does the 486-kilometer CKU railway look like? The start line begins at Kashgar in China's Xinjiang region, which serves as major rail hub for the entire country, allowing goods and passengers to travel further east toward places like Lanzhou, Beijing, and Shanghai. From Kashgar, it will make its way to Jalalabad in Kyrgyzstan, which for centuries has served as one of Silk Road's main trading posts and is a vital corridor for merchants, pilgrims, and travelers. From Jalalabad, the railway will cross over into Uzbekistan to the great and historical city Andijan. Having this railway connected to Undermine is vital for many reasons, but one game changer will be China's ability to trade more effectively with the country Afghanistan using a 75-kilometer railway that was built back in 2011, connecting Termez in Uzbekistan and Mazar-i-Sharif in Afghanistan. With plans to extend this railway from Mazar-i-Sharif to Kabul and then to Peshawar, Pakistan, this will effectively bring Afghanistan and Pakistan into China's vast Belt and Road Initiative. But back to Andijan. From Andijan, the gateway to Europe and other parts of the Middle East is now open, unlocking multiple trade pathways. One option takes goods southwest through Turkmenistan and Iran, reaching the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman for direct shipping to the Middle East. Another pathway moves westward through Turkmenistan to Azerbaijan and Georgia, linking to Black Sea ports for shipment into Europe. This 486-kilometer railway from Kashgar in China to Jalalabad in Kyrgyzstan might not sound like a massive distance, but its impact is enormous. With a vast interconnected network connecting East and Central Asia, the Middle East, and then Europe, this new Silk Road Railway will prevent more delays than a major airport on a foggy morning. But until our Silk Road Railway is built, how exactly does cargo reach Europe? Chinese cargo heading to Europe by rail has to take a long detour north through Kazakhstan and Russia, adding unnecessary time, costs, and geopolitical risks. With the CKU railway, China cuts straight through Central Asia, skipping Russian territory entirely. The entire China to Europe route is now 900 kilometers shorter than existing overland options, and delivery times drop by 7 to 8 days. That's the equivalent of shaving an entire work week off global supply chains, a serious advantage for Chinese manufacturers. But this isn't just about speed, it's about control. Right now, China depends heavily on the Russian-dominated northern rail corridors, especially the Trans-Siberian Railway and the middle corridor through Kazakhstan. Those routes are reliable, but they come with problems. Russia's war in Ukraine has led to sanctions, disrupted supply chains, and made Western companies hesitant to rely on Moscow-controlled routes. For Russia and Vladimir Putin, the president in recent years has not publicly commented on the CKU railway project. Historically, Russia had reservations about China's Belt and Road Initiative in Central Asia, viewing it as an encroachment into its traditional sphere of influence. However, recent developments indicate a shift in Russia's stance. In 2022, Kyrgyzstan's President Sadyr Japarov noted that President Putin had agreed to the construction of the CKU railway, signaling a move from opposition to passive support. By creating the CKU railway, China reduces its vulnerability, ensuring that no geopolitical crisis can block its land-based trade routes to Europe. Here's another wild fact. The CKU railway will provide the first-ever railway connection between China and Kyrgyzstan. That's right, despite being neighbors, China and Kyrgyzstan have never had a direct rail link. This project finally changes that, giving Kyrgyzstan a massive boost in trade opportunities. But wait, just because the CKU railway will have more precision than a Swiss railway timetable, don't think for a second Kazakhstan is taking this lightly. Kazakhstan's president, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, is wasting no time in upgrading sections of the 4,250 kilometers Trans-Caspian International Transport Route, TITR, also known as the Middle Corridor, which links Southeast Asia, China, Kazakhstan, crosses the Caspian Sea, and continues through Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey before reaching European destinations. For decades, Kazakhstan was the only Central Asian country with a direct railway connection to China. But with the arrival of the CKU railway, Kazakhstan's trade corridor is under threat. Apart from the nation now having to compete against the new kids on the block, Kazakhstan's drive to upgrade their long-lasting network isn't out of fear, but an increase in demand. In 2022, the Middle Corridor railways experienced an 86% increase in traffic handling, approximately 3.2 million tons, and this was mostly a result of the sanctions placed on Russia by Western nations, which was then exacerbated by the outbreak of the Russian-Ukraine conflict. With all that being said, the scale of the CKU transformation is hard to overstate. Right now, shipping a container from China to Europe via the sea route through the Malacca Strait, Indian Ocean, and Suez Canal takes over 30 days. The CKU railway cuts that time almost in half. Even compared to the northern land routes, it's dramatically faster and more reliable. Think of it like this. If shipping times were a race, the old sea route is like running a marathon, while the CKU railway is like taking a high-speed train straight to the finish line. But some critics say that the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan railway is a high-stakes gamble. On paper, it sounds like a game-changer, but in reality, it faces more hurdles than an Olympic track meet. The Tian Shan mountain range. Yep, that's right. This mountain range spans an enormous distance of over 2,800 kilometers across China, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan, with much of this range running right through where railway needs constructing. Over 41 tunnels, 81 bridges, and 18 stations will be developed to complete this project, all while dealing with frequent earthquakes, extreme weather, and steep mountain passes. The technical complexity alone makes this one of the most ambitious railway projects in the region. Although not confirmed yet, the 41 tunnels are likely to be constructed using China's tunnel boring machines (TBMs). And who knows, maybe China will seek to demonstrate its technological prowess by using its largest tunnel boring machine ever made, named Zhanghai, featuring a diameter of 54.4 feet and a 30% increase in tunneling efficiency. But the biggest challenge isn't the mountains, it's the money. The total project cost is estimated at $8 billion, with $4.7 billion allocated for the Kyrgyz section alone. That's more than half of Kyrgyzstan's GDP, which stands at just $9 billion. To fund its portion, Kyrgyzstan has taken out a $2.35 billion loan from China, raising serious concerns about falling into a debt trap. If Kyrgyzstan struggles to repay, Beijing could gain control over key infrastructure, something that has already happened in other Belt and Road Initiative (BRI) projects, like Sri Lanka's Hambantota port. Then there's security, which is another major issue. The railway runs through areas known for drug trafficking and smuggling, particularly the Golden Crescent, which is a hub for opium production in Afghanistan, Iran, and Pakistan. There are fears the new transport route could be exploited for illegal trade, human trafficking, and even the movement of extremist groups. China has been cracking down on separatist movements in Xinjiang, where the railway begins, and the last thing Beijing wants is a security threat along a major trade corridor. Even if everything goes according to plan, the gauge difference between China and Central Asia adds another layer of complexity. China's railway system operates on a standard gauge of 1,435 millimeters, while Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan use the wider 1,520 millimeter gauge, a legacy of the Soviet era. This means goods will need to be transferred to different train cars at the border, adding delays and costs. While automated bogie exchange systems or new transshipment hubs could help, it's another logistical hurdle that could slow things down. Despite these challenges, a groundbreaking ceremony began on December 27, 2024, attended by leaders from China, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan. If everything stays on track, the CKU railway is expected to be completed by 2029. Once operational, it will carry 10 to 12 million tons of cargo per year, giving Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan direct access to China and new markets in Europe and the Middle East. The stakes couldn't be higher. If successful, this railway will shift the balance of power in Central Asia, reducing Russia's grip on trade and strengthening China's economic dominance. But with billions on the line, political tensions rising, and extreme construction challenges ahead, the real question is, will the CKU railway deliver on its promises, or will it become another costly geopolitical gamble? Let us know in the comments.
Stretching an incredible 1,637 kilometers, this high-speed electric railway zips passengers at 160 kilometers per hour and freight at 120 kilometers per hour, starting at the bustling port of Dar es Salaam and ending in Isamilo. It's a game-changing mega-project, positioning Africa as a rising power in global trade. But beneath the promise of progress lies a burning question. Is this railway truly African? Projects like the Tanzanian Railway aren't just impressive in scale, they're also a symbol of China's growing grip on Africa. With the continent relying heavily on Chinese loans and even military support, we have to ask, is this real progress, or has a Trojan horse quietly arrived on Africa's shores? Stick around, because in this video, we're uncovering the truth. The Tanzanian Standard Gauge Railway, or SGR, is changing how Tanzania moves, works, and grows. It's a massive project stretching across the country, starting at Dar es Salaam on the eastern coast, right by the Indian Ocean. From there, it cuts across Tanzania's heartland and ends near Mwanza in the north at Isamilo on the southern shore of Lake Victoria. This isn't just a railway, it's a fast, all-electric system built for both passengers and heavy cargo. Let me take you through how it works, how it's being built, and why it matters. The first section of this railway starts in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania's busiest city and main port. It's where goods from all over the world arrive by sea. From there, the railway travels west for 300 kilometers to Morogoro. This city lies inland and is an important link between the coast and the rest of the country. Construction for this section began in April 2017. It's now fully operational and ready for passengers as of August 2024. Trains here can run at speeds of up to 160 kilometers per hour. That means faster trips, smoother rides, and goods moving more quickly where they're needed. From Morogoro, the railway continues into Phase 2. This part goes to Makutopora, which is near Dodoma, Tanzania's capital city. Dodoma is located in the center of the country, making it a natural hub for connections. This stretch is even longer, covering 426 kilometers. Work on this section started in 2018, and from July 2024, it's fully operational. This phase connects Dar es Salaam all the way to Dodoma, making a continuous line of over 600 kilometers. Farmers in the central regions will now be able to get their produce to Dar es Salaam's markets much faster. Goods like grains and coffee will arrive fresher, and transport costs will drop. Phase 3 takes the railway further north, from Makutopora to Tabora. Tabora is one of Tanzania's older cities, with a strong history as a transport and trade hub. It sits northwest of Dodoma and covers 294 kilometers in this phase. Construction began in April 2022 and includes intersections to connect nearby towns. Right now, the work here is 14% complete, and the entire phase is expected to take 46 months, including testing. When finished, this section will make it easier for people in central Tanzania to travel north and for goods to move between regions without delays. The fourth section picks up at Tabora and heads northeast to Isaka. This stretch is shorter at 130 kilometers, but it's critical for connecting Tanzania with its neighboring countries. Isaka is a key trade point for goods heading into Rwanda and Burundi. Construction here started in early 2023, and although progress is at 5%, the work is moving steadily. This phase is set to take 42 months with 6 months of testing included. Once complete, it'll make cross-border trade faster and cheaper, strengthening ties with Rwanda and Burundi. The final part of this phase-by-phase journey stretches from Isaka to Mwanza, including Isamilo, covering 341 kilometers. Mwanza is in northern Tanzania along the southern shore of Lake Victoria. It's a busy trade center known for fishing and connecting Tanzania with Uganda and other countries across the lake. Construction on this stretch began in 2021 and is already more than halfway complete at 54%. When this phase is done, goods and passengers will move smoothly from the north to the center and all the way to the coast, creating new opportunities for businesses and families alike. So, how does this railway achieve all this? The answer lies in the technology it uses. This is not an old-fashioned railway with diesel-powered trains. It's fully electric. Trains run cleaner, faster, and more efficiently with less pollution. Passenger trains reach up to 160 kilometers per hour, while cargo trains move at 120 kilometers per hour. These speeds mean shorter travel times for people and quicker deliveries for goods. It reduces costs for businesses, making products cheaper for consumers. The construction itself is a marvel of modern engineering. Workers and engineers use continuous welded rails, which are stronger and more durable than older designs. These tracks can handle the weight and speed of electric trains without wearing down quickly. Concrete sleepers hold the tracks firmly in place, ensuring stability. Bridges, culverts, and overpasses are carefully built to allow safe crossings for roads, rivers, and even wildlife. Each phase is planned and tested to handle the heavy use it'll see once fully operational. The stations along the route are also modern and built for convenience. They include automated systems to manage train schedules and ensure safety. Waiting areas are designed to be comfortable, and security systems, including cameras, keep passengers safe. There's also access for people with disabilities, making the railway more inclusive. These stations make traveling not only faster, but also more enjoyable for everyone. The railway isn't just about faster trains or advanced technology. It's about what these changes mean for the people of Tanzania. Farmers in rural areas will have a reliable way to bring their crops to the market, where they can sell them for better prices. Businesses will be able to ship products to customers faster and more affordably. People will have options for travel, whether they're visiting family, attending school, or finding new job opportunities. Time saved in travel means more time for work, education, and life. However, there's a dark side to this story that we need to explore. Did you know that much of the railway's construction was carried out by Chinese engineers and workers? This has raised concerns about what it means for local Tanzanians. The advanced technology and machinery were mostly brought in from China, which left little room for African workers to learn these skills or be involved in high-level parts of the project. The result? Many Tanzanians worry that they're missing out on important opportunities to gain expertise that could help their economy grow long after the railway is built. So, why did Africa turn to China for this massive project instead of working with European or American companies? The answer lies in the conditions attached to loans and investments. Western countries and financial institutions often set strict requirements focusing on governance, environmental protections, or human rights. While these are important, they sometimes slow down projects or make them less appealing. China, on the other hand, offers loans with fewer strings attached, making it easier for countries like Tanzania to push forward quickly with much-needed infrastructure. But this relationship has its challenges. Many African nations, including Tanzania, have become heavily dependent on Chinese construction firms and financing. Most of the materials, workers, and expertise come from China, which means the local economies don't see as much benefit as they could. Worse, there's the looming issue of debt. What happens if Tanzania can't repay these loans? Some fear that China might take control of critical infrastructure, which has happened in other countries. It's a risk that raises questions about the long-term sovereignty of African nations. Across the continent, similar projects have sparked debates. Kenya, Zambia, and Djibouti have all faced difficulties with Chinese loans. For instance, Kenya's standard gauge railway has been praised for its efficiency, but criticized for its high costs and reliance on Chinese companies. Zambia has struggled to repay its loans, leading to worries that China could seize key national assets. Even Djibouti, where China has a military base, has raised concerns about how debt might influence its sovereignty. Despite these concerns, China has repeatedly assured Africa and the world that it has no intention of taking over countries or controlling their politics. Officials have highlighted China's commitment to mutual respect and cooperation, but critics argue that these reassurances often lack transparency. When asked direct questions about the risks of debt dependency, China sometimes avoids giving clear answers which don't help ease the doubts. On the brighter side, some African nations are taking steps to balance the scales. Regional cooperation is growing, with countries working together to reduce their dependency on a single partner like China. They're seeking new ways to finance projects, sometimes turning to partnerships with private companies or exploring regional development funds. These efforts show that Africa is not a passive in this story. It's looking for ways to take control of its future.
That's a wrap on our railway adventure. From high-altitude feats to underground wonders, these projects showcase the power of innovation and ambition. If you enjoyed this exploration, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the world's most transformative projects. Thanks for watching, and see you on our next journey.